another week, another thrilling finish in the Cup Series, a duel between Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin up at New Hampshire. But as great as Sunday was, I'm not sure what happened because the chaos started on Friday. I was up in the booth covering practice, and next thing I know, Denny Hamlin's in the fence, Ryan Newman's in the fence, a total of 6 backup cars over the course of the weekend. We hadn't had 6 backup cars all year, KP. What was going on?
No idea. I think with this package, with the horsepower, with the sticky stuff on the racetrack, there were so many different changes. And these guys are just trying to maximize laps. There could have been stuff on the racetrack. We heard Ryan Newman and those guys say there may have been something on the racetrack, but it's been a long, long time. Daytona and Talladega are the only ones I know where you go and you go out to practice and they tear up a bunch of cars in the big one. And then you see a bunch of people in the garage area. That's what this garage area looked like.
When was the last time we saw a driver, Alex Bowman, go to another backup car after he wrecked his backup car?
I saw on social media.
Not totally Alex's fault.
The first car was
mechanical
failure. The drive shaft tore the floor out. The second one, that's on Alex. That one was a wreck. He had to go the backup to the backup. So we were up above. What was the feeling down in the media center and through the garage area?
A bunch of us went out, and of course we had to watch this happen. Going to Jimmy Johnson's car, pulling his backup out, and preparing it as the 88 for Sunday's race. I mean, that's something you never see.
Should have gone to William Byron's. William Byron has Hertz as a sponsor. So it'd been like a rental car. Yeah, that would have been better.
William Byron was in a backup car.
Sorry, couldn't have gone there either. My bad.
He already went to President's Circle and got another car at the Hertz. But guys, so that was Friday. But then I feel just blessed. I mean, the NBC side half of the schedule, we have had great finish after great finish after great finish. And once again, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick on old tires, Denny Hamlin, a dominant car. I'll say runs him down, but inches his way closer in short track style. In the end, lap traffic holds up Harvick. Denny Hamlin catches him. And the last lap fascinated me. I thought Hamlin was going to move him. He kind of moved him. Harvick went back. It was a hell of a battle. Here's what they thought.
In this position, you just don't want to make a big mistake in big chunks of time. So, you know, for me, I wanted to try to hit my marks, and if he got to my back bumper, try to keep him back there. So that wound up being what happened. And for me, this is where the big problem started, when those guys were running the line that I needed to run, and you know, they eventually move over. But like I say, when you get in the corner and get to the middle of the corner, the car's already pointed in the wrong direction and chattering. And so I committed to the bottom right here, and you know, the 3 finally got out of the gas right there, and unfortunately let the 11 go right there. And I could see him coming, and right here I saw him kind of half a car length inside, so I knew I needed to be in the middle of the track and just try not to get spun out or knocked out of the groove. And I stayed beside him, and he started letting off, and I'm like, man, I really don't want him on the inside of me here. I need to be in control of which door goes into which door here. So, you know, he came down right there and tried to get into the right rear, and I was coming up at the same time and just knocked the front out of the front of that car, and I just wanted to be in control of the door slap.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be door slapped.
Never should let him take me on the outside, because it's my fault. I mean, I knew what to do there. I backed off, trying to get behind him, and I don't know, second guess.
I wanted to just tap him there, but I didn't want to completely screw him. I at least wanted to give him a fair shot there. And then down the backstretch, I kind of let off, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna just pass him on the outside and kind of do this thing the right way. And I don't know, second sucks.
So I don't know where to start, but let's start here. I guess let's start here. Let's remind everyone, Kevin Harvick was winless in 2019 going into that race. Right. Denny Hamlin has wins. I think that's important because I think that affected how the 2 drivers raced. Kyle, of the panel, you're the driver. How did you break down those last 2 laps?
I don't think it should affect how they race, though. That's the difference. You can say, and we had started this conversation this morning, but you can say it affected. But I don't think it should. I don't think it would have affected Kevin Harvick. And if Kevin Harvick had 19 wins going into that race, he's taken the 11 and he's sending him up the racetrack. I think there was a half-hearted effort by Denny. And I think
half-hearted to pass? You mean to move him?
To move him.
Okay.
I think Denny had the ghost of Martinsville and Chase Elliott in his helmet running down, because he took so much heat after Martinsville for running in the corner and taking Chase Elliott out. at this point in time. And we heard right there on the cool-down lap, he's already second-guessing himself on the cool-down lap. Who second-guesses yourself on the cool-down lap? You just put it all on the line. Don't second-guess yourself. And so there's so much going on here. I do think Kevin drove an incredibly smart race getting into that first corner. You go back and watch that. He positions himself to the inside to get hit.
Shallow and straight.
Yeah, shallow and straight. He never turned in. He shallowed, got on the brakes, made Denny hit him, and sent him up. He was prepared for it, where Kyle Busch wasn't last year for that. So, I mean, there's so much there, and I'm not sure. Denny's twice the race car driver I ever was. I will say that till the cows come home, people. This is not Kyle Petty criticizing Denny for this, to say I would have done anything any different, because I was never in that position as much as Denny has been. At the same time, my job is to analyze it and think about being in a race car, and I just don't think Denny was prepared for that last lap. I just don't think mentally he was prepared for it.
Denny said what Harvick did to him in turn 4 by essentially turning around a little bit, that's what Denny should have done to him going into turn 1. And as you said, Kyle, he was second-guessing it from the cool-down lap. After he talked to us in the interview, he talked for almost 10 minutes with a group of reporters. It was almost confessional in tone. It was
Which is not a talk, it's a ramble.
Yeah, he was just replaying every move. And it was great because you get this window into how a race car driver thinks. You get that candor. And we've talked about this before, Kyle, about the way Denny Hamlin really brings you in. Sometimes it's almost breathtaking, his honesty. Yes. Whether it's Martinsville in 2017, whether it's in 2010 when he let the championship get away to Jimmy Johnson at Homestead Miami Speedway, whether it's Kyle Busch taking the #1 pit stall from him in last year's championship finale and being so candid about what happened there. And we got real insight and a real window into how Denny Hamlin lost this race. And I think, Stevie, to your point, Hamlin was asked, did the fact that Harvick doesn't have any wins and you do matter? And he said no. He said, I screwed up. I think the only takeaway here for Denny Hamlin is it happened now with 6 races remaining in the regular season now to go. He doesn't make that mistake again, I think, this year, right?
So, the mistake I think Denny Hamlin made was turns 3 and 4. I like what he did in turn 1. He gave him a nudge into the corner to increase his speed just enough to get inside him. I'm still on board.
But Hamlin thinks he should have ran him the way Harvick ran Kyle Busch and knocked him out of the groove.
I don't agree, and here's why. Because Kevin Harvick tried to pass Kyle Busch for 25 laps and then finally gave him a shot. That was Denny Hamlin's first trip to the 4 cars bumper. And here's the mistake he made. You move him up to get the position, which, is side by side. Do not let Kevin Harvick have the bottom down the backstretch, and it's game over. You win the race. Because if you run the bottom down there, just like Harvick did to him, you just use him up on exit and you clear him to the start-finish line.
But shouldn't he just do what Harvick did to Kyle Busch last year?
But it's not the same.
Why not?
Because Kevin Harvick had 30 laps to get by him.
Okay, but if Denny can get there, why shouldn't he just? It shouldn't matter what happened the 25 laps prior. Denny is there on the last lap. That's why he's second-guessing himself. He's saying, if the roles were reversed, Harvick does that without compunction.
Listen, that's exactly right. If the roles are reversed, Harvick runs him down, catches him the first time he catches him. There's a white flag. I just went under a white flag. Here it is, people. There's a white flag. I got 1 lap. I don't have anything else. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to give Kevin Harvick a lot of credit here. And you need to take this and let your son watch this race. This is how you lead a race, control a race with a slower car and win a race by driving, by outmaneuvering, by outthinking, by putting yourself. Kevin Harvick drove a masterful last lap. You can't argue that. You know what I mean? Denny made mistakes. He made Denny second-guess himself. So that's an excellent last lap. Denny should have did what Kevin Harvick did. Take care of it in 1 and 2. You don't have to worry about 3 and 4. You know what I mean? That's my opinion.
When you say, did the circumstances affect it? I call BS on that they don't, because I can tell you if Denny Hamlin was still on his losing streak from a couple years ago, Kevin Harvick doesn't even get off turn 2.
And exactly.
I'm a believer in that. Now, listen,
that could be.
I think he hits him way harder.
I'll say this too. Asking Kevin after the race in Victory Lane, is this the style of racing you have to run now? Know that when somebody catches you, they're going to move you. And he said, that's the way it is now. It's not like we used to race. This is the new game. Blocking, bumping, grinding, moving people out of the way. Kevin expected it. Denny didn't deliver it.
And it was a big theme of the weekend. Harvick said that on Friday, that if you race the way now, the way you did 10 years ago, you would get a fist in your face.
That's exactly right.
And
that's exactly right.
For whatever reason, Denny, I don't know if he wasn't aware that that's the way things go now. I think now he's aware. And again, like, if this happens in the playoffs, I think that's the takeaway for him. He doesn't make this mistake again if it's a transfer race.
So, but let me say this, though. And I don't think anyone here is wrong about the situation. I don't think there is a right.
This is between. These are
but I will say this. You talk about my son, right? So a 15-year-old who races. What we have in the last 2 weeks are the biggest stars there are, the greatest there are in NASCAR. You have two Busch brothers, two champions. You have Kevin Harvick, who's a champion. Denny Hamlin, who's a future Hall of Famer, we could all say with his resume. And for 2 weeks in a row, we've seen closing laps battle with smoke flying. And the frustration after the race is because they lost, not because how they were raced. I think that's refreshing, is my point. In today's race, when we don't talk about who won, we talk about who did somebody wrong. That's why I'm okay with Denny pushing the issue like he did. We go back to the Paul Menard on Saturday. There's a conversation of how hard he hit Harrison Burton. I would have been fine if Paul Menard would have drove over the door of Harrison Burton. I was not okay because he spun him out. My point is, these race car drivers are very good. They know the difference between moving and wrecking. And what I saw there was, what did Kevin Harvick say? He goes, he was lifting because he wanted to be behind me, and I was going to the bottom because I knew we were going to hit, and I wanted to do the hitting. That's spectacular. That's chess. It's so much fun to watch.
It is. But the thing is, it is the style of racing. You talk about your son. This is the style of racing your son's growing up on. Okay? This is a style of racing that we go back, and a William Byron and a Daniel Suarez, they're watching the greatest in the business right now, just like you said. And they're like, that's the way we have to race. But NASCAR has created that with the package that we have now. We don't have that old style package from when Earnhart came along, or, you know, we
but
go
it's
back
funny, like the
than that.
package is moving over. And the reason I say that is because while we go to Michigan, it's going to look different. Pocono's going to look different. Kentucky, or excuse me, New Hampshire didn't. We might have had more downforce, more harassment. I don't care. Out the window, that was the same New Hampshire I've seen for the last 15 years. So to your point, the new rules of racing are carrying over to tracks that are being raced how they used to.
Exactly. And that's the best way to put it.
Hey, Motorsports fans, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe before you go for all the latest news and highlights across motorsports.